Hey everyone, today I'm going to be talking to you about force feeding baby snakes. Force feeding a snake should never happen unless it's absolutely necessary. So if your snake misses a meal or you think, oh well they haven't eaten in a day or two more than they should have, don't instantly jump to force feeding because if done incorrectly it can be lethal to your snake. If possible, go to a reptile vet first and only force feed if they suggest you do so. This is Polo. Polo is a baby Colombian Rainbow Boa, and she has been refusing food for several weeks now. Ideally, she should be eating every 5 days, but it's been about a month and she hasn't eaten anything. So I've been trying all different ways of feeding her. I offered it in my hand, I offered it on a forceps, I brained it, I mushed it up so that the smell of it would be more enticing to her, but in the end she's just not interested. So I have decided that the best course would be to attempt to feed her this way and try and offer it to her normally in 5 or 6 days' time. So even though I've attempted to feed her normally several times, I'm going to just give her one last chance to just take it normally, or even if she shows a bit of interest, I'll let her take it then. So I'm going to just put the pinky rat in front of her. It's fully thawed out and I've sprayed it down with a little bit of water so it's easier for her to take into her mouth if she decides to. And she ended up sniffing around it a bit and doing a few tongue flicks, but overall was not that interested. She was just wanting to explore and go around the place. She wasn't interested in food in the slightest. So when you decide that you need to force feed a snake, the first thing you want to do is hold them just behind their head. I've got my other 3 fingers cradling underneath her neck, but not pressing on the front. You're going to put the pinky rat just against the front lips and just try and wiggle it against there so that eventually they'll open their mouth and take it. Don't just use brute force to push it into their mouth because you will end up breaking their teeth or injuring them, and you definitely don't want to do this. So what I did was just the very tip of the mouth and just gave it a little bit of a wiggle here and there and tried to push it in a little bit further until eventually she ended up opening her mouth all the way. Make sure to support their body while doing this. You don't want them to be flailing around or coiling up because they might end up injuring themselves or they might refuse the food. So in this case I got my mother to end up holding the end of Polo so that I could have better support. When the mouth is open all the way, you need to get the head down just behind the back of the throat. So when you put it into the throat, you can then use a tweezers to just gently hold onto the rat and push it very gently straight down the throat. In this case, she wasn't too happy with this, but the most important thing you need to take care of is the glottis. So the glottis, this little tube right here, that's how they can breathe when they're eating rats. So when you see a snake eating a rat or a mouse, obviously their mouth is super full, but usually you'll see this little glottis sticking out of the corner of their mouth, and that's how they breathe this entire time. So make sure you don't accidentally crush that when pushing a pinky rat down. Keep in mind you have to be super gentle while doing this. If you push too hard, you risk injuring the snake's mouth and throat, or you could break their teeth, or if a slip of the tweezers, you could end up actually scratching them really badly and they could get an infection. So make sure to be super gentle while doing this and be aware of where everything is at all times. So now that the pinky rat is entirely in her throat, I can use the tweezers to just push it about an inch to an inch and a half down her throat, and then I can use my finger with no nail on it to just push straight down a little bit just to make sure that the rat goes all the way down so she doesn't accidentally throw it back up. You can see on my finger beside her head there's a small dot of blood. Don't worry, that's not from herself, that's actually from me being a little too rough with the pinky rat and the tweezers pierced it. So now that the food is inside her throat, you can leave her be and let her swallow it down herself. Keep an eye on her for about 2 to 5 minutes to make sure she does keep it down, because sometimes they will end up regurgitating it or get rid of it because obviously this is a stressful experience for them. It's not a natural thing to happen. So make sure you just keep an eye on them, and if they go past the 5 minutes without throwing it up, it's very unlikely they're going to. They will probably just swallow it down themselves. So now I set back up her enclosure, I can put herself back in, give it a quick spray down because Colombian Rainbow Boas require very high humidity, and then leave her be and make sure she's not stressed for the next 24 hours, and I'll check again to make sure she didn't throw it back up. In 5 to 7 days I'll probably offer food again, and give her the chance to take it normally instead of having to force feed, because realistically you want them to just, when you force feed the first time, they'll get the appetite up themselves, and next time they'll seek out food themselves normally. So as soon as she's set up and happy and the lid is secure on the tub, I'm happy enough to leave her be, give her a day or so to digest and swallow it down all the way, and I'll just check on her intermittently throughout that time. And I'm going to go get a cup of tea because I hate force feeding and I get very shaky hands during, because I just really dislike it. So that's it for today, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment them below. If you enjoy, like or subscribe, and I'm going to just emphasize once again, do not force feed unless it is absolutely critical that you do. Thanks for watching.